Hello, everyone. I thought I would tell you more about the story of my book, Silent Reckoning. I read passages a lot, but I thought I would just tell you more about the plot. Well, first I'll read the blurb, which of course can't expound on everything, and then I'll give further explanation. The blurb starts with a quote. In the end, we are merely the clay that time uses to sculpt its wonders, Jeannie said. Set in 1929, Silent Reckoning explores the trials and tribulations of Jeannie Anderson, an aging actress who desires to reinvigorate her dwindling career. Obsessed and beguiled by Jeannie's elegance, Walter Peterson, a lonely factory worker, seeks to assist the thespian in her lofty aspirations. They will be plunged into a world of corruption and vice, through which they will become privy to the ghosts of disillusioned dreams. Now, as it was explained in the blurb, Jeannie is an aging actress. This is set in the late 1920s sound, when movies were making the transition from silent to sound, and many actresses struggle with the transition. Now, Jeannie's is not struggling with the transition because she doesn't have a good voice. As I explained in the book, she does have a graceful, a dignified voice. But the problem is that one, she's aging, and they want younger talent, and at the same time, also, she is um, she has a, so she's melodramatic in her performances. She has a very almost a theatrical quality about her, a melodramatic quality that wasn't quite what the studios were looking for at the time. They were looking for far more naturalistic performances. So Jeannie Anderson very much would have been in line with actresses like Gloria Swanson, for example, who was very big in her acting, and that's what the studios don't like. I know other actresses struggled with the transition because they were foreign or they had very thick or heavy accents. That's not Jeannie's case. It's just that she's very theatrical, and the studios were looking for more naturalistic approaches. And but again, and so it starts out. The story actually starts out with flashbacks with Jeannie's childhood, where she is a child and she has a relationship with her mother, and then it will switch back and forth between that, and those are written in first person to third person limited point of view with Walter Peterson, who is this a man who is kind of just again a lonely factory worker, but he's very intellectual in his thoughts, but at the same time he wants more out of life, and he kind of channels all his desires through being obsessed with Jeannie Anderson, and he would very much like to reinvigorate her career. So they meet by chance, and he says that he can help her do that by trying to frame this rival actress named Ursula Chapman, who is slightly younger than Jeannie Anderson, and she has kind of a golden, almost bombshell look about her, which was something that studios often desired at the time. And Ursula Chapman is not a bad person inherently. She's just someone who wants to get ahead, and her opportunity was arising. But she's also somewhat insecure about her career and fame as well. So she has a drinking problem, which Jeannie and Walter exploit. So they try to frame her, and or by getting her, or at the very least expose her by getting her drunk, and then taking pictures of her, and trying to get it, and trying to get those posted in a gossip column. And they Walter seeks out the assistance of this critic who he thinks will be beneficial to Jeannie, but but what he doesn't know is that this critic has a history with Jeannie Anderson, and that he knew her in her youth, and that leads to this big plot twist and revelation towards the end of the story, and so Jeannie or Walter could be considered the main character. That they're both strong uh, contenders for the protagonist. But I also spent a lot of time getting into the philosophy of Ursula Chapman and how she fits into the story, and how she's kind of caught in the middle of this tidal wave, so to speak, this conflict between Walter Peterson, Jeannie Anderson, and this critic, and because she's also being exploited as well, and this all leads to this culmination in Central Park during late autumn, when there's a snowfall, and there's this big revelation and conflict that takes place there, and the story is very ambiguous. So there's a lot of ambiguity. So it's very ambiguous, and then so at the end you're left questioning who has lived, who has survived, and all of that, and so. And I combine different points of view in the book as well, by because some of it is written in first person, some of it's written in third person. There's one chapter where there's first person narration and third person narration in the same chapter. And so I actually experimented with first-person narration for the first time in this. About a quarter of the book is written in first person, which is why I decided to write my next book entirely in first person, because I think it worked really well in this book. And of course, I tried to give it the book a poetic and lyrical fervor as well, somewhat similar to The Great Gatsby. There are a lot of passages that are similar to the Great, but I also tried to give the book a kind of Dickensian feel, even though it takes place in New York in the 1920s, because I wanted to have the book to have a very episodic literary feel to it. And so that for all those reasons, I think you should check out Silent Reckoning, because I think you'll be very intrigued.